Well, guys, we'll continue with the key management chapter. So, the next topic to be discussed was public key infrastructure. So, in the previous session, I had given a brief introduction about the concept of certificates. Okay, so I had explained you the importance of key management, and also I had given you the purpose of generating the digital certificates, who does that, and how it is being used, all this. Okay, so now I'll be explaining you in this portion. I'll be explaining you about the public key infrastructure. Okay, so what is this public key infrastructure? Initially how it was started, and finally now what is the infrastructure we have for the public key issuance. Okay, so here in this key management, as you all know, our main purpose is to understand how this public key that is required for the decryption purpose. Okay, anyhow, for encrypting, we'll be using our private key for encrypting, whereas to decrypt the thing, so private key obviously it will be present within with us, isn't it? So I need a public key of the other person, I mean to say the sender. If I want to decrypt the data that I have received, I need what? The public key of another person. So how do I get that public key? So how that person will share the public keys, or who will take the responsibility of providing me the public key? That is our portion of understanding. Okay, so I'll make it very much clear, guys. Please concentrate on my words, what I'm speaking about. Yes, say suppose I have a sender and a receiver. Okay, so sender will send the information by encrypting using his private key. Okay, so receiver should decrypt the message sent by the sender A using the public key of the sender A. So now our interest is, how do I get that public key? Okay, who will take the responsibility of providing that public key to me? Okay, so now in the previous class we have understood that the public key of any of the person can be obtained by the government agencies, the agencies run by the government on my requisition. So I'll send a requisition to those agencies saying that I am in need of the public key of this person. Okay, so he'll check whether I am an authorized one. So depending on that, he'll be issuing me the public key. So that public key, how will be issuing? Through in the form of certificate. Okay, so now our concentration is how such agencies will actually work. Okay, so how this public key infrastructure is established, that is our interest for today's class. Okay, so now how this certificate authorities, how actually they run, what all units they contain, how actually they are being designed, what is their infrastructure, that is what we'll try to understand. Okay, so now coming here, so we have so the certificate, the physical structure, infrastructure of certificate authority, it contains like basically the public key infrastructure. It includes, okay, it includes certificate authorities. Okay, the physical infrastructure, the physical infrastructure which includes encryption technologies, hardware details. See, encryption technologies, so these public key infrastructure, the physical infrastructure of CA, they may include in their encryption technologies like RSA and Diffie-Hellman for the purpose of key exchange, or they may use elliptic curve cryptography, they may use what DES, AES. So all these list with they'll have. Okay. Next, the formulation and enforcement of policies and procedures. So what procedure or what see, all certificate authorities will not have same procedures to follow. They may have different procedures to follow in order to in order to fetch the certificate, or in order to have the certificate, or in order to provide the certificate. For all these purpose, they'll have their own way of issuance and their own way of acceptance. Okay, so next is service required in supporting. Okay, so apart from this, they also include the service required in supporting the use of digital certificates. Okay, so how the service is being provided for the purpose of supporting the use of digital certificates. Okay, so digital certificates if I'm supposed to use, so what support does this public key infrastructure provide me? Okay, so it provides certificate creation, okay, issuance, storage, archival. Okay, so how it will take care of the creation of certificate, and how these certificates created to be issued, how securely these certificates should be stored, and also the archival. So what is this archival, where it comes, I'll explain you. Okay, next is as you all know, this infrastructure also include the encryption technologies. Okay, so it will take care of key generation and also key escrow, so where escrow is required and where not. So even that I'll be explaining you. Next is certificate or key updation. Say suppose if the validity period of the certificate issued is expired, so it has to be updated. Say if you want to continue with the same certificate with the same key, so then that will be updated. I mean to say the validity period will be updated, or it will be extended. Or if you want any changes with respect to the certificate or any key generated, so even that can be done, or this public key infrastructure will take care of that as well. Okay, next is certificate revocation. So this certificate revocation itself is a topic to be discussed, so I'll be discussing that in detail. Okay, so next this public key infrastructure provide a safe archival facility for all issued certificates. So what is that, I'll be explaining you. Okay, so now coming to the question, like lot of things that we are supposed to discuss about. Okay, so the first thing here is the certificate creation. So certificate creation, so what they'll do is, say if I am if I am the end user. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go contact the certificate authority people, I mean to say the government agencies. Okay, so I am the end user, so I want like I'll be servicing the society, or I'll be servicing certain organization, so I am a service provider basically. Okay, so in that case what I'll do, I'll request the government agency people to provide me a certificate, sorry, provide me a certificate in terms of like the what exactly like how like I'll be requesting for uh, the keys. Okay, the key pair, public key and private key. So what this certificate authority or the agency people does is, based on my requisition, they'll be working on the encryption technologies. Okay, so say the RSA or any such algorithm will be executed, generating certain prime numbers, all those the basically the RSA, say for example RSA algorithm will be executed by them. They'll be generating a pair of key. Okay, and that key will be sent to me. Okay, so the private key will be shared with me, and for the public key a certificate will be generated. Okay, so this happens. So I have got registered myself to that agency, so those agency people have generated the key for me. Okay, so that is where the certificate creation and issuance happens. Okay, and also the public key information for the key generated for me, it has been stored in that agency. Okay, so now next thing is, see, we use our private key for two purposes. One is for the purpose of signing and the other is the purpose for encrypting the data. Okay, and keep in mind we'll have two different types of private keys. Okay, that is, one private key is exclusively used for the purpose of signing. Okay, second key what I'm speaking about is the public key used for the purpose of encrypting. Please try to understand. Okay, so if you remember, we had the concept of Diffie-Hellman key exchange. Okay, so those Diffie-Hellman key exchange concepts still exist. Okay, so you can make use of your public key for the purpose of signing, for the purpose of exchanging the information and then generating the key on the senders and the receivers. Okay, so as I said already, it all depends on the public key infrastructure people, I mean to say the certificate authority people, to decide how the key to get exchanged. Okay, so what is required, that will be definitely be provided. Okay, so now here comes you guys have to understand is this key escrow. Okay, what is this key escrow? Key escrow comes when is, see, first thing that you guys have to understand is first thing that you guys have to understand is the private key used for signing is different and the private key used for encryption is different. Say suppose if you have lost the private key used for the purpose of encryption. Okay, so in that case you can just revoke, I mean to say if it is often necessary to have a backup of the decryption key. Okay, so if not, what happens, the employee who loses the decryption key will be unable to decrypt the archives of sensitive data. So see here, remember clearly. Okay, so in the process of encrypting the data, what we'll be making use of, we'll be making use of the public key. Remember, please remember or recall. Okay, you just go back to the RSA concept and recall there what exactly we were making use of. We'll make use of the public key for encrypting the data. Okay, for decrypting what we do, we use our private key to decrypt it. Say suppose the person has lost his decryption key. Okay, so then what happens, he can never decrypt the messages that he is receiving. So what these certificate authority people does is, they'll provide a provision for maintaining a backup for their private key in their organization itself. Okay, they, like, a person need not run to the agency people or certificate authority people seeking their private key. What they do, they'll maintain a backup for such private key in their organization itself. Say if he has lost his private key for used for the purpose of decryption, so in that case he'll get back, like I meant to say, the decryption key will be backed up and he'll escrow that key. Okay, so when it comes to the private key used for the purpose of signing, okay, so if he has lost that private key, so then there is no any issues. Okay, so what they'll do, the certificate, you can again contact the certificate authority people. So certificate authority people will issue the private key once again generating for him. Okay, see, why is this done? Why the backup is not done for the private key used for signing is, see, that key could be misused. Okay, that key will truly be misused, because see, if a person has made a will, okay, so he can what sign it digitally using his private key, isn't it? So if you want to look into that will, so then that key should be exclusively used. Okay, so this is called as archival. Okay, so the safe archival facility for all issued certificates will be done. So consider a situation, say, where the signature on a will needs to be verified. Okay, so that verification after several years. Okay, so if in that case, it is possible that the signer has misplaced his or her certificate, or that the signer is no more. Okay, so in these cases the archival facility of the public key infrastructure would greatly help. Okay, so there comes the concept. So in that case, what I can do is, if the backup was there, so in that case that private key would have been misused by any of his inheritors. Okay, so in that cases, what we can do is, we can just go contact the government agency people, providing all the required information, say if the person is alive or if he is dead, or from after his death, he would have specified that the private key could be provided for only these authorized persons. So when that authorized person will go there, he'll get the private key, I mean to say, the signer details and all this public key, all those things, and he can look into the will. Okay, or he can go for the modification of the will, or all these things could happen. Okay, so that is called as the archival facility for the issued certificates. Okay, so here we have to concentrate on this escrow and the archival. So when it comes to the escrow, we are concentrating on the private key. What if the private key is lost? So when it comes to private key, we have two types of private key used for signing, and private key used for what, encryption. Okay, so I am to say private key used for decryption. Okay, if the private key used for decryption is what, it is backed up, whereas the private key used for the signing is not backed up. I mean to say, will not keep any backup. So if you have lost your private key used for decryption, it is escrowed, whereas we can't escrow the private key used for signing. Okay, so next is the concept of archival. So when it comes to archival, you just highlight on the will concept. Okay, so this is the introduction for the public key infrastructure. Okay, so next is, we'll try to understand how this the public key infrastructure architecture actually it started up. Okay, so initially their plan was to have a certificate authority, and this person will issue the certificate for all the individual users. And this concept was really had lot, a big limitation was the scalability. So it is not like only some n users. So this n is 10 million what 10 million tens of millions of users. Okay, it is tens of millions of users. So one single person issuing and maintaining the what certificates for all these tens of millions of users, seriously, this certificate authority will definitely go down in that case. Okay, so here this is the initial one. what the public key infrastructure, these people first they planned for such an architecture. Since it was not scalable, next what they did was, instead of having one single certificate authority like this, so we'll have a single, even now the head, we have one single certificate authority. So this person will issue the certificate for, so CA1 will issue the certificate for CA2, CA3, CO4. CA2 in turn issue the certificate for CA5 and for one of the user. So the CA5 will in turn issue the certificate for some n number of users. So like this. So we'll have some hierarchical structure here. So here one scenario to be discussed is, say suppose if this user 1 wants to communicate with the user 5. Okay, I mean to say he wants to establish a channel for communicating with this U1 and U5. Okay, so here if this U1 will request for the certificate of U5, I mean to say the public key, so that he can communicate. Okay, so that he can encrypt the message and send it to U5. But the problem is, this U1 is not at all aware of the CA6. Okay, so CA6 will actually does what? CA6 will issue the certificate for U5. So while issuing the certificate, what he does, he'll sign the certificate, he'll digitally sign the certificate. What does that mean? He'll use his private key to encrypt the details of the certificate. So U1 has to use the private key, sorry, the public key of this CA6 to authorize himself to look into the certificate. Will you agree with this statement? I'll repeat the statement. U1 wants to communicate with user 1 wants to communicate with user 5. The user 5 public key details will be issued by what? This CA6. So the certificate issued will be signed by CA6. So while signing, what this person does, he'll use the private key of him to sign it. So to U1 to view the details of U5, first he has to authorize himself. How do he authorize? He'll use the public key of the CA6. Now the question is, this U1 user 1 is nowhere related to CA6. There is no any connection if you just observe here. Even if you can see here, the arrow marks that we have used is downward arrow marks. Okay, there is no way in which a relationship is established between this user 1 and CA6. So what people planned was, so each intermediate node what I have, so these will have the public key of the root node. Okay, so what happens here is, for example, when the certificate is issued, so he'll sign the certificate and it will be sent to CA3. Okay, so CA3 will have what? The public key. Okay, so next again the public key of CA1. Again this CA6 will have the public key of CA3. So this is how they will be authorizing. Okay, so what the concept used later on to handle this hierarchical architecture was, this user 1, I mean to say, like you can just see, the first user 1 may not have the certificate 6 public key to verify its signature on user 5's certificate, and moreover user 1 does not have any trusted relationship between them. Okay, I mean to say the user 1 and CA6. So what happens in this case is, certificate signed by CA1 OCHS CA3 public key. Okay, and certificate signed by CA3 OCHS CA6 public key. Certificate signed by CA6 OCHS user 5's public key. Okay, so this was the complication. Actually, they were like finding difficulty in establishing the trusted relationship between these two. So this is not the limitation, but like a lot of so this like you can see here, it is just only three oches you can just observe here, but usually this hierarchical trees whatever we'll have, it will be very dense. It is not as simple it is appearing in this slide now. Okay, it will be very dense. So when it is very dense, so each time you have to like CA 3 it has to authorize itself, and it has to what it like in the reverse order the vouchers has to take place. So you can just see a certificate signed by CA 6 vouchers. The CA6 public key should be there in CA3. CA3 public key should be maintained by CA1, and then the same should be provided to CA2. Next, CA2 in turn provide the content of to the user 1. So the process of authorizing or saying that yes, I am the authorized person, this was actually made difficult. This was actually very very complicated when it comes to the concept of hierarchical architectures. Okay. So next what they thought was to have this mutual trusting certificate authorities. Okay, so mutual trusting authorities. So here what happens is the certificates, the problem what we actually discussed in the hierarchical structure. So now this could be overcome by having a direct relationship. So you can see now, you can just observe we have here we had a single directional edges. Now we have what bidirectional edges. Okay, so now if user 2 wants to communicate with user 1, there is no complication at all, because we have what a trusted relationship between this CA3 and CO4. So user 2 he need not do any circus to say that I am the authorized person to communicate with user 7. Okay, or else you can also use the public key of CA4, because CA4 public key will be available, or it will be known to CA3. CA3 in turn will provide to CA5. CA5 in turn will provide to the user 2. Okay, so therefore thereby he can authorize himself to the user 1 that I am the trusted, I have a trusted relationship. In this case, the CA1 was the only means for all the other authorities to say that, and all other users that comes under this authority to say that yes, this person is a authorized one, because the user 1 has registered to CA2, and CA2 in turn as a registered person or known person to CA1. So this is how the hierarchical structure or the hierarchical trusting of relationship was known. Okay, but whereas here we have a trusted relationship directly between the certificate authorities. So thereby what proving that I am a authorized person was not a difficulty task. Okay, but the problem here is, what if this CA the certificate authority people, if they have got compromised with respect to the public key and private key and all other information. So in that case the security of the channel would go down. Okay, so that is the greater resilience in the event of one or more certificate authorities being compromised. Only this architecture it will fail, this mesh based public key public key infrastructure, it fails only if the certificate authorities have compromised themselves, and if the security, like in terms of security, if they have compromised. So these are the architectures what we have. So finally we have this bridge based public key infrastructure. So this public key infrastructure what we have here is the finally, like, now in today in today's cases,